Hey guys, welcome back. I hope this video finds you well. It is mid-October here, and there are some very important plants we need to go take cuttings from. And this video is going to be so cool because it's a very progressive in time video where we're going to go back almost 11 months. And I'm going to show you how I take cuttings from my African Blue Basil, and also maybe a couple other plants like my Mexican petunia, and maybe some blue spice basil as well, because I have been able to successfully overwinter them in my house as just cuttings and just water for the whole winter. And then come next spring, we have plants ready to plant out in the garden. Just wait until you see the display. Here is the current state of my African blue basil plants. Mid-October. This is the time I have to start thinking about taking cuttings that we will use next late spring in the garden. And you can see I created kind of like a hedge of the African blue basil. There are so many pollinators. They absolutely love this plant, and so do I. So I've devoted an entire video just to the African blue basil. Look at this. It just created a wall underneath my butterfly bush, which was my goal for this year. In the years past, I have just put the African blue basil here and there. But this year I decided to do a solid wall on both of these front flower beds, and it worked out so perfectly. I'm going to continue to do this. Let's go back to last early fall to see how this whole process works. So I take the cuttings before first frost, put them in water. I did try pineapple sage. It did not work as a cutting. So I'm collecting those cuttings before first frost, putting them in water. Every week you need to change out that water. Some years I'm better about changing the water than others, and it really makes a difference. Also keep your cuttings near a window, light source, and temperature above 50. This is my African blue basil. And every late, well, I guess it's actually fall when I do it, right before our first frost, I always make sure I get cuttings of these plants, and then I just keep them alive all winter long, and nothing more than water. Yep, just water. Change it when I remember. Some years I do a better job than others. Some years they don't last because I forget to change the water. And then I do have to buy a plant. I've only had to buy a plant twice in the last 4 or 5 years. So most years I do okay. So let me get this out of the container here. It's by my window so you can see the roots. And I'm going to actually take some more cuttings off of some of these guys so we have even more plants for our spring garden. This basil, this African blue basil that is just so gorgeous, and I love this plant so much, has lived its entire winter in just a glass cup jar, and I change the water periodically, and that is how this guy has managed to stay alive. Now, I took many cuttings. These are the only ones that survived, so always take more cuttings than you think you need. So I know from growing these guys for 5 years or more that they root super easy in soil, super easy in water. So I'm not going to use rooting hormone. And let's look more closely at taking a cutting. So do you see where there's a bunch of leaf sets here, all through here? We're just going to cut above all those leaf nodes, and we will get new growth, brand new growth. That's all you have to do. It's the same principle for a lot of plants, not all, but a lot of plants, and especially basils. And so now we've got this gorgeous little baby cutting that will become a whole new plant. So for now, I'm going to stick him in water until I get that soil ready. Now when you're taking a cutting and you're going to root it in water or soil, you do not want to do this. You do not want to take the cutting and leave any of the green growth, any of the leaves, any foliage up below the water surface. That's just going to make a gooey, gross mess. You want to cut those leaves off because roots will come out of those leaf joints. So I'm going to pinch those off, and then I'll put him back in the water. You can see even this guy, if I was going to leave him in water to root him for any amount of time, I would take off the leaf that is down here in the water because it doesn't need to be there. I would actually go ahead and take off this leaf too because I want to get as many roots as I can get as quickly as possible. After the plants are hardened off and ready to be outside, and our last frost has passed, there's no threat of frost in the forecast, it's time to plant out your cuttings. They will become full plants. They will get probably 5 foot by 5 foot wide, 5 foot tall, 5 foot wide. So plant accordingly. You can see this is what I'm left with after a long winter, keeping these guys in rotating cups of water. Definitely root bound. Remember, I did pot them up earlier in the very beginning of spring. And so a few weeks later, a month or so later, you can see they're really putting on growth. They look great. Unfortunately, I did not get to spend as much time as normal for me in my front yard this year because I was attacked by yellow jackets twice. And now we're right back where we started almost a year ago. It is almost time to take my cuttings. Probably in the next 1 to 2 weeks is when I will pick out some nice cuttings. Remember, take more than you think you will need because not all of your cuttings will survive a long winter in water. Don't forget to change your water at least once a week. Maybe every 3 days would be more ideal. Keep in mind also, you cannot save the seeds from this plant. It is a sterile hybrid basil, and the only way to propagate it is through cuttings. So that's it. That's the video on this wonderful plant that I adore so much. I plan to keep it in my garden as long as I can. And that starts with planning ahead, getting those cuttings secured before your first frost. You can see right now while I'm filming, there are so many pollinators. I am not going to be able to get up into the shrub right now to take those cuttings. I'll wait till really early morning. See you soon, guys. Bye.